Hello, today I'll be showing you how I spawned the enemies in my level scene with marker 2D and instantiate. Add new node, marker 2D node. I use the marker 2D to mark the position in my level scene where I want to instantiate or spawn the enemy. So note, you don't necessarily have to use marker 2D. There are other methods to reference position in your level scene. You can use encode, but for the purpose of this video, this is how I did it in my game. I used the marker 2D node, and I'm just going to duplicate and place it on another place. Rename the node to spawn position 1 and spawn position 2. Drag and drop into the script while holding Ctrl, and I created a timer variable, spawn timer, and set it to 3 seconds. So this is the time interval between which the enemies will be spawned. Create a new variable watcher and preload the enemy scene we want to instantiate or spawn. We handle timing in process function and make sure our spawn timer is being handled in real time with delta, so it decreases by delta, which is time, like the real time. And if our spawn timer is equal to 0, less than or equal to 0, then we spawn the enemies. You call your spawn function. Of course, we've not created this function, the spawn watcher. Then we proceed to creating a spawn watcher function, and if spawn position 1, which is the first marker 2D node, if it recognizes there is a spawn position 1, before that creates a variable spawn. Then if the marker 2D is recognized, you say spawn is equal to watcher.instantiate. Instantiate is the function that spawns the enemy, right? Then you add child spawn and you set the global position of spawn, which is the enemy that's been instantiated, to the global position of the marker 2D node. And you're good. Then you go back to process function, and after the enemy has been spawned, you would want to reset your spawn timer. If not, if you don't include this reset spawn timer, what happens is after the first 3 seconds, it just keeps respawning instantly. So you just spam the whole level scene with this enemy you're spawning. It doesn't wait. So when you reset spawn timer back to 3 seconds, it just goes around in that cycle. Let's do the same thing for the second marker 2D node, which is spawn position 2. So we want to spawn a different enemy from that marker 2D. Go back to process function, do the same process actually. Handle your spawn timer. So we're going to handle them separately here. You change the first spawn timer to watcher spawn timer, create new variable shadow spawn timer. Let's say this is 5 seconds. Fix all that in the process function, watcher spawn timer, watcher spawn timer. Then we do the same for shadow spawn timer. So minus equal delta. If shadow spawn timer equal to 0, spawn shadow, and we reset shadow spawn timer, and we call reset shadow spawn timer, set it back to 5 seconds, so it loops and creates spawn shadow function variable spawn. If the second spawn position is noticed, spawn equal to shadow dot instantiate. You add child. It seems we have an error. What could this be? Let me see. Okay, so I found out the error was from the preload. We preloaded the script instead of the scene. Be very careful about that. I handled enemy spawning in the code game a bit differently. All Marker2D nodes were grouped under a node spawner and enemies were spawned randomly on random Marker2D positions in the level scene using the randy function. I used a wave manager to handle enemy spawning because it was all about timing, and I used enemy pooling, right? So spawn timer is set to 0 and there is a max number of enemies that can be spawned. So in this case I used 45. So once the 45 spawned enemies were eliminated, they were recycled instead of new enemies being spawned. And for each wave there is a spawn interval set, and in process function, as we practiced, if spawn timer equal to 0, you spawn enemy, and instead of resetting the spawn timer, you set the spawn timer to spawn interval of the current wave. When a new wave is restarted, the spawn timer is set to 5 seconds, and upon the spawn timer getting to 0, you spawn an enemy and you reset spawn timer to the spawn interval of the current wave, which has been set at the top of wave manager script. Spawn enemy function has an active enemy check to enable enemy pooling, not exceed maximum active enemies. If check is passed, enemy is